Ladies and gentlemen. Good evening, everyone. Thank you for joining our NAMI Tri-Valley monthly general meeting where we bring in guests covering different topics, anything that can help us train, cope, whatever our community needs. My name is Armine Matensian. I am the second vice president with NAMI Tri-Valley. I like to call myself Marsha's right hand, and we have a great board. We try to do as much as possible. Today we have a very special presentation for you. We call the program In Our Own Voice. But before I talk about it, before I introduce our speakers, I'd like to turn the podium, the stage to our president, Marsha McInnes, to say a few words. Marsha, you got the floor.
Thank you. I'm also letting people in here onto the Zoom. First thing I'd like to bring up is just the kind of the national tone and of our country these days. And it will affect just about everyone, particularly on safety net type programs and services. And I want to assure everyone that I am taking on this extra effort, leaning in on elected officials, uh, watching for different policies that may or may not change in California. And so I'm just keeping a close watch, and I'm doing a lot of rallies. And I'm holding a sign that says, I will not be silent. So for whatever happens to any of us, I know that NAMI Tri-Valley will do everything in their power to be there for you in any capacity that we're capable of. And so I'm hoping that this is just something that is going to smooth out eventually, but right now it's pretty rocky. Um, if anyone has any questions or they want me to go ask something to someone, or you want to any updates on anything, just let me know. You can text me, even text, call. I'm in the office every morning, weekdays nowadays, so I'm easy to find. So whatever works for you works for me. The other thing I want to bring up is membership, because NAMI Tri-Valley, like all the affiliates, are member driven. We don't make any money maybe we could buy a pencil with it. It's not the point, but have a little ownership of NAMI Tri-Valley, have a better say. When I hear from you, would really encourage you to become a member if you haven't, or if your membership is lapsed, please join us again, because watch us, we're growing. And for those of you who haven't been tuned into us lately, we just hired Quinn, who's our administrative assistant, a few months ago, and it's been a godsend, at least for me, and I'm sure for all of us. She's driving this, so if you get a lot of emails and it's doesn't look like my name's on it, it's Quinn doing her magic and getting the word out properly. So I just wanted to make sure that you're aware of that. So In Our Own Voice, we used to have, but the facilitator was in a position to not be able to continue it, so we had to put it on hold for about 5 or 6 years. I'm extremely excited to have it back. It's such a valuable program, and so that's all I had to say at this point. Armine, thank you for letting me say those few words.
No problem, absolutely. We bring different presentations month after month, so please take the time. Check us out on our website, NAMI Tri-Valley. And Queen helped us update our website, so you'll see all the flyers, what's coming up, all the activities, event. We even have a calendar of events. But without further ado, let me start by saying we are excited to announce our first presentation with our in her own voice ladies, our own Heather Pitman and Jennifer Hartmann. I am not going to introduce them personally because they're going to do that themselves. What I would like to say a word or two is about the program itself. NAMI in our own voice is an interactive presentation that provides insight into what it's like to live with the mental illness. The presentation is led by two adults living with the mental health condition. It includes videos and discussions. Audiences are given a safe place to ask questions and gain understanding of an often misunderstood topic. Through dialogue, we help grow the movement to build better lives. This presentation provides an opportunity to hear open and honest perspective on a highly misunderstood topic, a chance to ask leaders questions, allowing for a deeper understanding of mental health condition and dispelling of stereotypes and misconceptions. The understanding that people with mental health conditions have lives enriched by hopes, dreams, and goals. So without further ado, I'm going to turn the floor here to Heather Pitman.
Thank you.
And Jennifer, who will follow her.
Thank you. So my name is Heather. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I take care of my two daughters. One is 8 years old and the other one is 6 years old, along with my two dogs. One is 3 years old and the other is 2 years old. And sometimes I take care of my husband. I am a very big reader. I have been enjoying reading since I was a kid. Woodworking is something I have found I enjoy and started doing it in 2021. I am also a NAMI Connection Recovery Support Group leader, and I have been one since 2022. NAMI, the National Alliance of Mental Illness, is the nation's largest grassroots mental health organization. We provide availability, education, support, and public awareness so that all people affected by mental illness can build better lives. NAMI Tri-Valley has a connection recovery support group that meets on the first, third, and sometimes fifth Wednesday. We have a family-to-family support group that meets on the second and fourth Monday, along with a parent support group that meets every third Tuesday. Now I'd like to turn it over to my co-presentations to introduce herself.
Hi, my name is Jennifer. I work at Pete, and now I just got a job at Right at School, which is a before and after school program to work with kids. I eventually will quit the Pete's job because I recently got promoted at the jobs that I just got hired to program manager. I also am a Tri-Valley Connection leader, facilitator. I've been doing that for 6 years now, and that's really fun. I live with my fiance and his son. We are getting married on December 7th, so I'm really excited about that. Our purpose today is to offer insight that provides support in the roles that matter to us all to be better siblings, co-workers, neighbors, service providers, parents, spouses, and friends. Mental health condition in ourselves or in someone we care about can impact those roles. The stories you'll hear today will describe how mental health affects people and their relationships with others. We'll share how mental health has impacted our lives, and explore warning signs, and describe what kind of habits and changes support our mental health. We are going to alternate between watching a video and speaking with you directly. The video is divided into 3 segments: what happens, what helps, and what's next. After each segment, we'll pause the video briefly, share our personal stories, and then have time for discussion and questions. We are here for you and want to speak about what you most interested in hearing. After a presentation, we appreciate if you will fill out an evaluation form either online or on paper to give us your feedback. With this introduction, let's get started.
Marcia, we cannot hear the volume.
Is almost a year old.
I have two children and they're not babies. I have a 15-year-old daughter and a 17-year-old son.
I actually went to medical school when I was 15 in India and started practicing in the United States. I got married and had the three most beautiful children that one can ever imagine having.
I raised my family, and then around age 40, my friends convinced me to go to college. So I did, and became a social worker.
I have a brother and a sister that I'm very close with, and my mother and father are still together. They've been together for 30 plus years, and we're a very close family.
I enjoy the beach and spending time with my 9-month-old puppy, Snoopy, who I love with all my heart.
I consider myself a community activist. I work with people with addiction issues, people that are homeless.
What I really like to do is draw comic books. I've been doing it since I was in like middle school. My diagnosis is schizoaffective disorder, bipolar type.
Borderline personality disorder,
PTSD.
bipolar disorder.
My diagnosis is major depressive disorder. I think I tell my story so I don't forget where I've been.
I want to be able to dispel those myths that's out there about mental health conditions.
Yeah, I'm an actual person and I have a voice and I have a story to share.
Nope, it wasn't over, Masha.
Symptoms of depression and who am I, existential questions since I was 15. And I used to say to myself, I'm having my midlife crisis at 15 years old.
I was suffering from this unbeknownst to me for most of my life.
I was in my early 30s. I had a 6-year-old and a 2-year-old. My husband left for work, and I closed my bedroom door, and my sons were on the other side of that door, and I was done.
With depression, I would not go to work. I would call out of work for days on end.
I didn't eat. I slept all the time.
There was about a 3-year period in my life where everything I did and said was sort of a product of the world of delusions that I was living in.
For quite some time, I didn't even recognize my symptoms because hypomania can look organized to me. So I can get a lot done in a very little bit of time. And it didn't become a problem until they noticed that I wasn't sleeping for like days on end.
I hallucinated every single day. I had hallucinations with all 5 senses. And then the anxiety sort of builds and builds and builds until it becomes kind of like a paranoia where, you know, everything is sort of out to get you.
I couldn't express any normal emotions. I couldn't cry. I couldn't do so many things that people did, and it would bother me.
My way of dealing with it primarily was with drugs. And I know now that that's suicide on the installment plan.
I started using alcohol more. I started self-harming more. My friends, when I was a junior, saw the scars and it was horrible. They judged me. They said that I was doing it for attention and they didn't want to hang out with me.
I started self-medicating for a while, and not drugs or alcohol, but with gambling.
After I lost my job, I became homeless. I committed minor crimes to feed my drug habit, lived on the streets, and finally, eventually was arrested and sent to state prison.
As a result of my illness, it led to some criminal activities. I've served 5.5 years' time in prison. And when that happened is when all these things got unraveled.
Some people said bipolar disorder, some people said ADHD, some people said PTSD, and none of them seemed to make sense for me.
It was a diagnosis that evolved over time, several different hospitalizations, several different diagnoses until one eventually stuck.
When I was told with the depression, I didn't hear that word. What I heard was crazy. So since I knew I was not crazy, I couldn't accept that diagnosis.
We've all heard jokes about people with mental illness, people with mental health conditions. And the last thing I wanted to be was the punchline to someone's joke.
I was a special education teacher, so there were kids in my class that had ADHD or had bipolar disorder, and just listening to those teachers and how they talked about those kids, it didn't make me want to come out and share what I had just learned about myself.
I felt that I wouldn't be accepted and that all my work would be dismissed as, not credible because I had a mental illness.
For me, it's a cultural thing. So if you're dealing with mental health issues, you go to church. So I remember doing a lot of that.
I'm Hispanic, I'm Puerto Rican and Dominican, and our culture is mental health is taboo. You don't talk about it. So I struggled with really accepting that I had an issue.
I felt understood. Not even like my partner now, wife. I didn't think she really understood, even though she had a lot of compassion for me. I just felt very isolated and felt very alone. And there were times that I did contemplate suicide.
Christmas Day, took all of my pills and I was going to overdose. And I'm sitting at the edge of the bed with the pills all right there. It was never about being dead, it was just ending the pain. And these friends that somehow I've been blessed to have developed over the years knew something was wrong, but they found me.
Okay.
When I was a teenager, I knew that I had depression. My mom knew it too, but couldn't 100% understand because hers was different and not as bad as mine. Depression for me is a deep sadness that was always with me. It became one of my only friends. I started to go to therapy when I was a teenager. I went to 4 different people and none of them were helpful. They would be fine till I started talking about the doctor stuff. When I was in college, I took a health class. For a class project, they wanted us to change something in our life for the better. I chose to look into getting help for my depression again. All that my doctor did was give me medication. I ended up burning myself, so I stopped it and didn't touch medication again for years. When I was 26, I had a breakdown in my job's bathroom. My husband told me I had to get help. I found a doctor and started therapy again. I was so scared of this new doctor, I couldn't be alone with him, so my husband would sit with the doctor and me. It helped me till I learned to trust him. With the help of the doctor, I learned that I didn't only have depression, but also anxiety and PTSD. PTSD stands for postpartum stress disorder. Because of my PTSD, I don't like being alone with men. This is something I still have trouble with, and I'm working on. As for my anxiety, it is a restless feeling, and I can't stay still. Being in large crowds or around people that I don't know make it worse.
When I was 15, I started showing signs of mental health. Which signs? We don't know. I didn't start seeing a doctor until I was 18 when my parents were just getting a divorce. At that time, my relationship with my mom was really hard. We weren't talking. And I went to the doctor to see a psychiatrist, and they diagnosed with me with depression at that time. I took Prozac, which is a medication, and it didn't help. It was making things worse. So I stopped the medication without doctor's approval and just continued trying to live without it. And I was trying to go through college, dealing with trying to graduate high school, then go through college was really hard because I was drop out classes. I would sign up for classes. I would get so excited to start classes, and then as soon as the class start, halfway through the class start, I start losing interest and started going down low again, and just dropped the classes. It became where my GPA was below 2.0, which is still below 2.0 till today. I'm working on to get it up. And then when I was 26, I hit a mania, and I didn't know what a mania looked like. A mania for me looked like I felt like I could fly and jump off a building and live. That's what a mania looked for me. And I was living with the person I was caretaking at that time, and they saw something weird that was going on, and they mentioned something to my therapist, and my therapist did a test of bipolar. And she's like, Jen, you have bipolar. So I went to go see a psychiatrist. I had my therapist come with me because I didn't trust psychiatrists. And it was also male. And I was afraid I wasn't going to understand what the doctors were saying. And at that time, they diagnosed me with bipolar 1. And I also have, with psychotic features, borderline personality disorder, PTSD, generalized anxiety, and narcolepsy. And the way anxiety shows for me is if I have lots of stuff to do and I'm really busy and in large crowds, sometimes I can get really anxious and it'd be restless. I won't be able to focus really well. I'd be nauseous. That's the way anxiety shows up. PTSD shows up when I'm around men that I'm uncomfortable with. I will have a severe panic attack and I'll start shaking if I don't trust the people that I'm around. And then narcolepsy, I just recently got diagnosed about 3 years ago. I did a sleep study. It's not a mental health condition, but it is a neurologic condition. I do not sleep everywhere I go, but I am tired most of the time. And I don't get the REM sleep that most people get. So I have very little REM sleep. So I wake up really tired. So that's my story. On to what's next.
Does anyone have any
Well,
questions before
oh,
we go on to the next?
Okay.
So does anyone have any question, or should Masha start the next video? Okay,
So I
Masha,
have a question. Were you going to school when you were not feeling well? You said both you were in school after high school, college. What was the college like? Did you start? Did you drop out? What was that experience like?
that experience was really hard. I would go into classes, but I wouldn't finish them. So then I would drop out. So it was going through a waiver. I'd be really, really excited to start, do all the homework, do everything. Halfway through the class, I would hit a depression, and then I would stop going to class and start failing classes.
Were you at home at the time?
Yes, I was at home with my parents at the time. At the time, I was having odds with my mom, and then my dad was working a lot, so I was pretty much home alone most of the time. I was either at work or at school, or I'm by myself.
Did you finish college? How did it go?
I'm
Okay.
in college now. I am 4 classes away from getting my liberal arts degree.
Yes. We're cheering for you, all of us.
Thank
We're
you.
here for you. We're having a graduation party for you, girl.
Yes.
Heather, how about you?
I did college. I wasn't the best with it because on top of having mental health, I also have dyslexia, which is makes schooling very difficult for me. I ended up dropping out of college and went to ball tending school, so I'm technically a licensed ball tender. But I have been thinking about going back into schooling possibly in the near future, but that's just top right now. So no, I do not have a college degree.
It's not everything. I was just curious with that illness, that early years, how it rolled out.
It was hard, and some classes I really struggled with, other classes I really enjoyed, but for the most part, I didn't do very good in school because of not only just my mental illness, but because of my learning disability. So,
Yeah, so focusing was very difficult.
yes. Marsha, I think you have the wrong video up for next one
Okay.
because it's what helped, not what happened. Is there any
Yeah.
other questions?
Let me close this out again. Let's see.
Yeah, I have a question. You were living at home, and how good was your relationship with your parents? Were you able to talk to them? Did they ignore you? Did you feel supported?
At that time, no, because they didn't know what I had, and I wasn't sure what I had. They didn't understand how I was feeling, so they pretty much ignore it. In my family, you ignore all mental illness and don't talk about it. So I didn't talk about it with them because that's what they just suppressed everything and they ignored the feelings that I felt. and didn't really feel supported at that time. The only person I felt supported from was my best friend, who was my coworker, and then my old roommates who saw the mental illness. They supported me. It's not till I start talking more about my mental health with my family, and open up to them, the more they accepted it. This is like, you're different. It's okay. And it's not really I'm different. I just have an illness. And they start to accept it. They still don't quite see it, but they know I have something, and they now accept it. I get along with my parents more now, better than I did in my younger years.
Thank you.
As for my experience with my parents with mental health, my dad completely did not understand. He just blocked it out because it was just a problem for him. My mom tried to understand, but like I said before, hers was not as severe as mine. So she couldn't completely relate. She tried to be there for me. I have an older sister, and she would tell me to just get over it. And now, as an adult and having children of my own, and that I still have it, she's a little bit more understanding that it's not something I can just get over, because I'm happily married and I have beautiful kids that I love a lot, but I still have it. And so she's finally understand that it's not something that just goes away. So I didn't have the best support system with my family, but my husband is very supportive and very understanding, even though he can't relate to it, but he tries to be there. So that's what's important, is that they are there and he tries. So
Okay. Shall I try this again?
okay. Any other questions?
We'll come back more. We're gonna have plenty of time.
Okay. So let me,
That's still the wrong video, Marsha. That's what happened. We need what help.
uh,
So I think it's that one.
what helps? Okay.
I did about 18 months at one of the most notorious prisons in California. After I got out, 90 days later, I was right back in prison. I knew that what I had been doing wasn't working anymore, and that I didn't want to spend the rest of my life in prison.
I remember when I was in the hospital the last time, and my therapist, she came to me, we were talking, and she said to me, I really need you to commit to life, because if not, we can't work together. What I remember is that I just opened myself to the risk of living.
So I knew I needed to get help, but I didn't know what help looked like at that point. I didn't even know if it was possible.
When I ultimately became aware of the fact that I did have, a mental health condition, I always call it the best day of my life, because it was just infinitely better than what reality I was living in.
I feel more liberated. I don't have any skeletons in my closet. I would have saved myself a lot of headaches if I would have accepted it a lot earlier in my life. But you can't change the past. You just turn the page and start a new chapter in life.
Once I realized, I had a mental health condition, the very first thought on my mind was, okay, how am I going to get on top of this?
I didn't recover from pneumonia all by myself. I didn't recover from depression or post-traumatic stress disorder all by myself.
It took many years to find the right therapist. And I think what made them the right therapist is that they really seem to genuinely care, to listen to what I had to say.
I find it's always really necessary to sort of advocate for myself, within the mental health system, just because I know if I don't do it, nobody's going to do it. The doctor at first wanted to see me once a month, but I was like, no, we're meeting once a week.
We did it daily in the beginning and every other day for many, many weeks, and then maybe 3 times a week, then twice a week, once a week, that sort of thing.
Family therapy was a little challenging. My dad didn't really want to go, but in the end, it really brought us all closer together.
My family, they've been a tremendous help, in my recovery. I think the number one thing they did for me that I can't thank them enough for was they never gave up.
I started on medication when I was in ninth grade, and my dad was very against it. My mom is a little more open, and she wanted me to get on medication. She knew that there was something that just chemically wasn't right with me.
I still feel my depression every single day, but the medication I take just gives me the ability to do the things that I need to do.
I think it's important to kind of be in tune and communicate with your doctor with the different side effects.
The most pronounced side effect for me was this overwhelming sleepiness that I would get.
The side effects that really bothered me the most was not being able to think, just confusion.
The only one that I have right now is the weight gain. Here's the compromise. I think I'm still cute. So.
Yes, you are.
I think the one thing that I've learned is that recovery is an ongoing process. You don't just start taking a magic pill and get better, or find the right therapist and get better. You have to work at it every day.
It's important for me to keep up the routines that I do, even when I'm doing really, really well. That just kind of reinforces my path to wellness.
It's very important for me to have things organized, written down in a calendar somewhere, so I know what I'm doing at what time.
I realized how much better I function during the day with a full night's sleep.
My grandkids, my family, my friends, can't get enough.
Positive self-talk, that's something I practice often for my recovery. If I ever feel myself getting stressed, anxious about something, I'll say, I got this, I got this. Nothing can take away your peace.
I also do go to the gym, and I do hot yoga. I love hot yoga. I really do. It's very therapeutic.
I didn't even realize I was spiritual before. But what it has done now actually has played a huge part in my recovery process.
Doing things like, regular meditation kept my mind clear enough for me to be able to pay close attention to what was going on.
Mindfulness is all about awareness, being aware of the present moment. And that has helped me in not only accepting, but also leading a meaningful life.
Some of the compromises I've had to make as with my recovery is that I've had to cut back on my alcohol use.
I'm not afraid to tell friends when I go out anymore, hey, you're not drinking knobs, I'm on medication.
Yeah.
I don't have to tell them what meds. It's no sweat off my back not to have a drink. It's actually, you save money that way.
Yeah, that's true.
When I was incarcerated, they served bologna sandwiches like almost every single day. And when somebody offers me or suggests that I go someplace that I know will get me in trouble, I usually just say that'll lead to a bologna sandwich. And I haven't had a bologna sandwich in over 10 years.
Yeah.
And trying to never eat another bologna sandwich for the rest of my life.
Those are the worst.
Yeah.
So what helped? I had a really good doctor for 5 years before he left. I learned a lot in his care. Because of this doctor, I went back on medication for a long time. I went back on medication when I was pranic. Because I went back on medication because when I was pranic with my second daughter, I wanted to hurt myself. They gave me something that was safe for me and the baby. I stopped it because I was missing more days and doing just fine without it. When my doctor left, I found woodworking. It has truly helped me. Seeing the finished project, no matter how big or small it is, makes me happy. People that know me even say that they can see how much more happier I am. I can also throw the wood when I'm having a bad day. I have seen when I take long breaks from woodworking that I have a habit of getting worse depression. I walk my girls to school every day, no matter the weather. I also try to get my family to walk the dogs on weekend. I'm teaching my girls how to cook, and just taking care of my family helps me a lot. Yes, I still get depression. It is something that I will have my whole life. I'm just not letting it be my whole personality.
I love to go camping and dirt bike riding. It's one of my ways I let my self-esteem out. I don't always get to go dirt bike riding because that takes time off my weekends where I work. But I do enjoy meditating. I go to the gym every day, or I walk 10,000 steps a day to keep my exercise going. I am trying to lose weight to fit into a wedding dress. I love taking care of my family and spending time with them. My small family, but will be growing. I'm not pregnant yet. We are looking to get to be pregnant soon, hopefully. Um, I do, and I love writing and I do love reading, so I do both. What helps me keep sane is a structure schedule. I have to know what I'm doing in every day. If I don't have anything to do, I need to go for a walk. Make sure I plan walks, plan on reading, put something on a schedule for I know what I have to do next. That just helps my mental health to go smoother and to be able to know what I'm doing ahead of time. Will ease the anxiety. I'm not guessing what I'm doing when I'm leaving. I know what place I need to be at what time. So those what usually what helps me. And I'll always have bipolar. But my family says I'm happier. I'm also happier now than I've ever been, and I am more involved with my family now than what I used to be. Does anybody have any questions?
Through the years, have you ever noticed when you're like when you feel depressed, like I'm gonna feel depressed or some incident happens? Did you ever think through that at all? What causes what happens? Is it truly chemical or is it something happens?
I had both experience. I had something where depression hits where nothing happened. It just chemical, pure chemical. And I had stuff that hit depression. That's the stuff that did happen. I had recently lost my dad and my grandmother a week apart, 4 days apart. So that caused me to have depression. So there is environmental triggers that can trigger a depression. But also you can also get depression without any triggers.
And at times like that, would you work with the doctor to adjust the medication or you just go through it and it changes?
I rely on my support system. Having a support system is a really important tool to have. If you don't have a support system, the harder it is to get out of depression. Because there's nobody asking you every day, say, hey, how are you doing? How's your depression doing? Checking in on you every day. I'm lucky I live with one of my big support systems, so he knows when I'm depressed and knows how I feel. So he'll check in on me every day, and I will just go through it. I wouldn't change my medication because it depends how long it lasts. If it lasts for over a month, yes, I would consider changing my medication. But if it doesn't last for that long, then it's just you can work through it.
So I'm trying to understand for my son's case, for example, when he's manic, he doesn't think it's a problem. He doesn't see himself. Uh, how do you feel? How do I communicate? What would help to talk to him?
Um, to me, the way my friends approach me is like, "Hey, you're a little hyper right now. Are you in a manic?" People that knows that I have bipolar will ask me, "Are you in a manic?" And I say, "There's a possible chance that I could be." Because in ourselves, we don't know when we're in a mania. We think everything is okay. And even in a mania say we think everything is okay. Like everything is normal, but in the outside, people's like, no, not everything's okay. You're not yourself. When you have multiple people telling you you're not yourself, then you really get the feeling is like, oh, okay, I'm really not myself. Let me rethink what people are saying. Some people listen and some people don't. You can only express your concern to them, and they take it as what they want to take it as. Unfortunately, we can't force people with mental health to get help because they either are not ready to get the help yet or they don't know how to get the proper help. And communicating is like, hey, you're in a just asking them questions really helps as well.
Thank you.
Okay. Should I roll the next movie?
Yeah, I think that's fine, unless someone else has questions.
It seems like my journey has been a bit of a roller coaster ride where I've accepted and I've recovered and then I've relapsed and I've accepted and recovered and relapsed. And now I find myself in a probably the best place I've been in a really long time.
You know, success with a mental health condition can really be just about anything you make of it.
Success started off in baby steps. It's how I've redefined it, because it used to be getting out of bed was a success. Taking my medication 7 days in a row was a success. It started off small.
When I started this process, I didn't have a lot to be proud of. And now, man, there's so much to be proud of. Just living my life in a healthy way, not having my power turned off, paying my rent and paying all my bills on time.
After everything I went through, I'm really proud of the fact that I was able to go ahead and actually finish school.
I own my own home. I have a great job.
My relationships have improved since I've been in recovery, both with my family, with my friends, with my employers, definitely with myself. I don't have that whole shame thing going on anymore.
This past year was like my first consistent year in recovery without any relapses. And so that was something definitely to celebrate. And we celebrated that. So just to see things like that is encouraging to me, and it gives me the fortitude to, like, to continue on and say that I know that I can do it.
One hope is that I can continue on this path of wellness and recovery, of being happy within my own skin.
I'd like to just, slowly but surely sort of make my way back to leading, a much more healthy lifestyle.
You can be happy and healthy whether you have a mental health condition or not.
I think success is being able to communicate your truth to another person.
Getting these emotions out with another person who you know has worn your shoes, has walked your path, just gives you that energy, gives you that hope.
And once I started talking about it, I didn't feel as alone anymore. And I felt strength through other people.
One thing that I've learned about mental illness is that it's one of the most common diseases in America. It's more common than heart disease, more common than diabetes, and more common than cancer. But most people don't recognize that. Just having that knowledge and being able to share that with others might be enough to get them involved in their own treatment, their own help.
The only way that we can help people with mental health conditions, mental health issues, is by removing the stigma attached to it.
I know that when I was in high school, I wish I had someone tell me that things get better. So I want to be that light for someone else. I want to help others and give them hope and let them know that it's going to be okay.
I really believe that reminding myself of how far I've come keeps me on this path of recovery. I don't want to go back to the places that I've been to. And by telling my story, I'm pretty certain it's never going to happen again. No more bologna sandwiches for me.
So what's next? I know that I will always have depression, anxiety, and PTSD. It doesn't stop me from hoping for more good days than bad ones. I plan to keep woodworking. I have made many different pieces. I mostly do Celtic knot designs. There are a lot that I do outside of that. I like for my girls, My Little Pony, family, a simple heart, or my family's quest, or holidays, wooden eggs and ornaments. I hope to get more pieces on my Etsy shop. I am proud that I've sold 2 pieces on my shop. I even sold more outside of my shop. That is mostly signs. I've been getting back into reading. I read about 2 books a month. One with my mother-in-law that we talk about what's happening in the book and what we think is going to happen in the book. Then one book by myself. This book is more darker and just something that she doesn't like to read, but I do. Since the New Year's, I've been trying to get back into writing. However, it's been a hit or miss if I do it. More than that, I want to watch my daughters grow. I want to see what they become, where they go in their life. I don't want my depressions to take me away from their life. As much as they drive me crazy, I want to be there to cheer them on for every step they take because I know that they will become beautiful, strong, and smart women.
I am recently engaged to my best friend, and we plan on getting married on December 7th. I've come a long way since my mental health journey. I haven't had any relapses for the last 5 years. Been consistent. I love helping people, so I continuously being a facilitator in the NAMI Tri Valley and speaking up about my own story to help somebody else is really impactful for me. Anything that I can do to impact somebody else's life really makes me happy. I will continue to do that as long as I can, as long as my schedules allow it. And I can't wait to see my stepsons grow up and to see the man that he become, and that's worth living for me. Thank you.
Does anyone have any questions?
So what was the hardest time that would you say? What age was, I mean, it's very different for every individual, right? Was there toughest years, teenage, early 20s?
Definitely early 20s was the hardest for me. I was still figuring out who I was and still wasn't quite diagnosed with the right mental health quite yet. So trying to balance in something I didn't know until I was 26 was the hardest time for me.
The hardest time for me was probably when I was in the junior college in my 20s because I went on to the medication and I started hurting myself, and that kind of just spiraled me into hurting myself more because before the medication I never did hurt myself. So when I went on the medication, it really spiraled me down a really bad rabbit hole. And I had thankfully knew my husband at that time, and he really helped me with that. But my hardest time was then, and now I'm better, and I don't do those type of things anymore.
Yeah, I have a question. How do you see yourself? I mean, you're here talking about you're a person with a mental health condition. How do you define Heather?
I define Heather as a mom that I know I have mental illness, and that a person who tries to make the most out of life. And I'm trying not to just be a mom, but also a person. So I'm trying to find joy in life as a person with mental illness. If that answers your question.
Yeah, it kind of does. I see people defining themselves and others as having a mental health condition, and but it's just, I think sometimes it's a beautiful part of what a person is, including you. Is it a negative? I don't think it's a negative thing. I think it's something that makes you a unique person, you know. So that's why I was asking, how do you define yourself? You define yourself as a Heather with a mental health condition, or
I don't define myself as Heather with a mental illness. I guess I kind of have it, but I don't let it, like, it used to really be my personality when I was younger. When I was a teenager in high school, it was my whole personality. So now as a young adult that has learned to cope and everything, I don't let it be my personality anymore. I will talk about it, but it's not something I broadcast very often. I only speak about it with people that I very well know and very much trust. I'm more the Heather, the mom, and Heather, the woodworker, versus Heather with the mental illness than anything.
Jennifer?
I define myself as a strong, independent woman. I carry myself that way, and nobody in a outside will now know that I have a mental illness, even though I do, and I publicly share it if somebody asks. And because I'm not afraid to, because that's not who I am. I'm just very strong and independent, and I always try to be that way.
We're happy to, we're very happy to have you both, especially helping us out with our connections programs. I know you've been solid for several years, and we have to continue that. We really appreciate. I'm just trying to pick up space. We'll see the next question to come. Looks like Jim has a question, or David? No, maybe not. Go ahead.
I do. Thank you for your openness. I'd like to ask what you feel is important for family support members that you wish they would do, and maybe something that they wouldn't do.
I wished my parents would have listened of how I felt. Caring about a person's emotions really, really helpful. And listening to them and not judging them based on how they're feeling, because it's just an emotion. What I wish that they didn't do was ignore the problem, and be a part of that problem. And the way they could, and they didn't listen to me, and they just judged me for something they didn't know either. And learning more. I wish my parents learned more about the mental health and the condition versus not, because when they don't understand you, and they can't really fully listen.
As for me, so especially when I was younger and I had depression, my sister was one of those people who told me just get over it and move on with my life, and that made it a lot worse for me. So I just wish, especially as a teenager, that she would have listened and just been there as an ear, even if she couldn't understand, because that's what I found so helpful, especially my husband, is he doesn't understand what I'm going through at all. He doesn't understand this deep sadness that like lives in me, or this overwhelming need of like energy, or this like constant tension in me that will sometimes make me sick to my stomach with my anxiety. But he will sit there and listen, and that's something that I'm so thankful that I have now in my husband, that he can sit there and listen, versus when I was a teenager my sister would be like, just get over it, move on with your life. So having someone who would sit down and listen is nice. But then sometimes, like last night, I was really depressed and overwhelmed with doing this, because this is only my second time doing it, so I'm been feeling really anxious about it, and I was really depressed. I'm like, what if I mess up to tomorrow? What if I do something wrong? And he knew there was something wrong, and he was just over smothering me, which is sometimes just, I'm like, I just need room to breathe. I don't want to be smothered. So sometimes people who know you and love you will sometimes, not purposely, but over smother us sometimes, because they know there's something wrong, and it's just, we're like, sometimes I need room to breathe myself, and I'm like, I just want room to breathe, but it's just feeling overwhelmed by someone
Thank
trying
you
to be
both.
there to help. You're welcome.
Yeah, I had a quick question. And it touches upon some of the things you were just talking about. When our adult son suffers with a number of things that both of you are contending with, and short of just continuing to ask, well, how you doing today? What's the best way, if you know, to check in? How do you like your loved ones to check in on you? What is it you prefer that they ask or say, or what is it you just assume they not say or ask? Does that make sense?
Yeah, that makes sense. I like my fiance to ask me how I'm feeling and accept how I'm doing. Because how I'm feeling and how I'm doing present themselves differently. How I'm feeling is I can talk by emotions. How I'm doing is like, oh, I'm doing fine, but maybe not know exactly how I'm feeling. But when they ask me how I'm feeling, I'm like, oh, I feel tired. I feel sad today because of this reason this happened. That's usually how I like my partner to come and ask me. because it goes deeper. It goes into deeper conversation if you ask a person how they're feeling, except for asking them how they're doing.
I appreciate that. Thanks.
Something that my husband asks me a lot that sometimes I don't like being asked is he asks me what's up, and especially when I'm in a really deep depression and I kind of need coaching to talk about it, I'll just say the ceiling because he says what's up, so I'm looking up and it's the ceiling. So it's more of a sarcasm answer for me, especially with that wording of what's up. But like Jen said, just asking how we all are, saying, do you want to talk about it also helps a lot instead of just saying, how are you feeling? Because asking me if I want to talk about it will sometimes let me know that they're willing to listen versus just trying to check in and then being done. Because there are some people who will say, how are you feeling? And then that's it. And that's no more of the conversation versus, do you want to talk about it? And asking them as a question, giving me a leeway of saying, do you want to talk about it? It gives me the opportunity to talk about it or not talk about it if I don't want to.
Okay, great. Thank you.
So,
I'd like to make a comment. I think you both did an outstanding job tonight. I'm very proud of you two. I've known you for a while, and it's always been a pleasure to know you. I also want everybody, and I want the world to know that we have three signs that Heather's created for us at NAMI Tri-Valley. And it's in our office. And I encourage people to come by our office and check it out. It's pretty cool. And knowing that it's something that helps someone, brings them joy, makes it even more joyous to own. Thank you so much for your just the candidness and willingness to share a personal side of your life. It really truly is sacred, and we're very honored to be able to be here with you. Thank you.
Thank you for having us.
thank you.
I want to echo Marcia to say thank you very much. You both are wonderful, strong ladies that help us bridge the gap. You educate, you train us. You're here for anyone who needs the support, including the families. Heather, you did outstanding job, and this is just the beginning. You're going to shine, and we're here. Can't wait to celebrate your wedding, Jennifer. So thank you very much. Thank you for coming forward. I know when I asked, I wasn't sure what was going to be the answer, but we appreciate, and we will share the information for others. Thank you for helping us. I just want to applaud you all. Honestly, if I was there, I would just hug you. So here we go. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
See you.
Thank you. I actually found one of my wooden pieces if anyone wants to see it.
Go for it. Can you share it?
Yeah.
Yes.
So this is a piece I found that I had in my office with me. It's a kilt. It's a tree of life that I did. So
Wow.
Very tiny detail, but I found it and I didn't know if you guys wanted to see it or not.
Yes. Thank you. Thank you very much. Some of us, the board members, have seen Heather's work firsthand, live, and she's incredible. We encourage artwork going forward all the way. So
I have commissioned Heather to do pieces, so I'm proud owner here.
thank you very much. We hope to have you back in the future. Anything we can do to support each other, that's what NAMI Tri-Valley is all about, folks. Families supporting families, anyone with any condition, we're here. You want to hear different topics, come to us, talk to us. Ladies, that includes you. Anything that we can do to help out. I know you got the Connections program going on, so NAMI Tri-Valley is here to support. Are there any further questions? Anything that anyone thought of last minute that wants to ask? This is a very unique opportunity. We got majority of the board, we got Heather, we got Jennifer. Anything from NAMI Tri-Valley?
I wanted to say to Heather and Jennifer that I'll be at the connections, in the office, and I'll give you their checks. Is that okay?
Yeah.
Okay, done deal.
Yeah, but most people don't realize that connections really helped a lot of people through the COVID. When people were at home, right away we jumped on it. We started the Zoom. First week we got a Zoom going, and that's been active ever since. So we thank you very much. I know there's been some ups and downs. It's not easy. Communication is not that simple when there is conditions going on. Different people are in different places in their recovery, but you've been solid, so we really thank you, both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great.
Yeah, well, we have the time reserved until 8:30, but if there's no further question, if anybody wants to comment and want to ask any questions, we're here for a few more minutes.
I wanted to say that you're making a difference with
Yes.
sometimes we don't see it on a day-to-day basis, but over time, uh, as you see people recover, like Heather and Jennifer, I'm sure that there are people that saw you at your deepest, darkest moments, and they're looking at you now and saying, wow. And because you have those connections groups, you're doing that, you're passing that on to other people as well. So you're making a difference.
I do have a question, if you wouldn't mind. Because my son is bipolar, and he's in recovery, and he's doing well for the most part, for the last year and a half now. But the one thing he keeps saying is that because of being bipolar, he doesn't feel that he can really have a relationship. And how did you overcome that? Well, because you're getting married. Congratulations. I think that's wonderful. You are married and you have two beautiful kids. I don't know what kind of conversation I can have with my son to say, it's okay to have a relationship. He's very nervous about it, I guess, is what I'm saying. So
I think once you accept yourself for who you are and not define yourself as your mental illness is when I learned that I can be in a relationship, because I used to think the same way. I was just like, there's no way somebody's going to love me for me because I have bipolar and I'm a hot mess sometimes. But once I got over that, I started accepting, it's like, oh, I am a loving person. I am fun to be around. I am not my mental illness. It's when I can started to build relationships and be where I'm at and being engaged and being in a relationship. I think once he accepts himself is when he can, and not be so nervous about it, he will be able to find the right person for him that will love him for who he is, even with the condition that he has.
As for me and my relationship, obviously I don't have bipolar like Jen or your son does, but I had really bad depression. And my husband, I actually met him and I told him, we were friends for 5 years, and I told him about my depression, and he was there for my depression, and he was someone who knew it and accepted it. While other people I would try and be in a relationship with and then tell them and they had bad experience. So you just have to find someone who would understand him and accept him. And I know it's going to be hard and it's going to be scary, because I was rejected because of the depression, because other people like, oh, been there, I've done that, I'm not going through that again. It will take some time, but he has to believe in himself that there is someone out there. And even if it starts as just a friendship, because mine was a friendship for 5 years before we even started dating. So I knew he accepted me. He knew what he was getting into when we got into a relationship. And I think that's what's really helped with my marriage, is that he knew about it, and so it's not something he was blindsided by. So.
So at the time when you were trying to get better, now you seem perfect as far as mingling with people, doing all kinds of activities, right? In that period where they're trying to find themselves, what recommendation would you give to the loved ones to say, because they feel different, they get treated differently, and it's staring to them at the face in their face. Any advice?
So medication is an option for them if they want to do it. It's completely up to them. I strictly prefer not to be on medication if I don't have to. I've done it. It does help if need be, but I don't say it's the know all, how all. But what I found really help besides medication is finding something I enjoy doing. So the woodworking is something that I truly enjoy doing, that I found that really helped, that I can channel it in. So if he can find a hobby or do something with his hands and his mind, like drawing, writing, reading, woodworking, weaving, or something like that, would possibly help. Because I've just found that having a hobby is something that really helps, because it puts everything aside. In my opinion, it helps me just puts all my worries aside and helps me just let go and just be me for a moment.
That's a great advice.
For me, to back up Heather, is to really have somebody to go through it with me. They may not know what's happening with them, but they're going to sit there and they're just going to go walk it through with me. If that's going out for a walk, if that's listening to music, if that's doing something with that person, I always feel like the presence of another person really helps me go through the most challenging times of my life. I thought the way I lost my grandmother and the way I lost my father was going to be really, really difficult for me to go through, because the way I lost them, it was really hard. It was challenging, but I had my fiance walk through it with me, let me talk to him when I needed to talk. He went on walks with me when I needed to go to walks, and he left me alone when I needed to be alone. Just helping guide that way. Sometimes just a physical presence, you being there, will help without talking to them necessarily about what's going on, but just being there as a friend.
Thank you. Thank you. This is very helpful for us, the family members, trying to get a different perspective.
I think it's great you guys have loved ones that you can open up to and count on, and that could be there, because sometimes we parents are the enemy. So even though we try really hard, we're still, not the number one people that our loved ones want to talk and spend time with. So it's great that you have spouses and fiancés in your life to be that for you.
Also, if they even just have a friend, someone that they trust that they can talk to, will also be a big help. That's how come I'm more of a hobby type of person, because when I was younger, when I was a teenager and going through this, I didn't truly have any friends that I could trust with this. So that's why I'm more of a solitary type of person. Well, instead of always turning to my husband for help, I more will go to the woodworking or picking up a book or something like that to try and fill the void of it, because I've never had someone I could truly trust before my husband, and I didn't get him until I was much later in life. So maybe even if your child would have a very trusted friend that they've been friends with for a very long time, could turn to, would be helpful for them too.
Yeah.
Jennifer's computer just died, so she had to exit out. So sorry. Armine, did you share about our April presentation? Yeah.
No, actually, but I would like to. As a matter of fact, let me see if I can share my page. I have to send a request. What I would like to do is share with you our, can I do it? Did you give me access?
I did.
Okay, give me 1 second. Okay, so what I would like to share is this is, oh, you don't see it yet. Okay, so when you go to our website, you're gonna see this
We can't
pictures.
see anything yet. It's just a black screen, at least on mine. It's others.
Oh, really?
We
I'm not
can see it
sharing.
now.
Okay, so at NAMI Tri-Valley, we have this pictures going on our main page. You saw this general meeting in our voice. This is what where we have today happening. We have a NAMI Family to Family program. We encourage all family members to take this course. It's 8-week. It used to be 12. Wonderful. Right here, you see lesson in humility. This is raising troubled child as a child psychologist. This is next month. Let me go back here. This thing's going fast for my pace right now as I'm talking. April 8th, we're going to have,
You can hit the pause button next to the clickle.
there it is. Yeah, I wasn't thinking. Thank you. You see, we need you. Okay, so Dr. Judith Matthews is going to be talking to us. She's a child therapist and her
He's a
son,
retired child psychologist.
retired child psychologist. Yes. I didn't say retired psychologist there. Okay.
Not a
I
therapist.
said therapist. Yes, yes. That's crucial. Thank you, Marcia. So I heard her speak in one of our events, the different event, and I said she's got to come and talk to us. I really wanted to hear her story, and she was very grateful and humbled and asked permission from her son. So I look forward to this presentation as well. So I encourage everyone, including you ladies, to stop if you're interested. It's also just like here next month. And we will update every time we have events happening. NAMI is working with several other nonprofits with Keep Hope Alive Collaborative. This is a lot of work happening. We encourage you jump in, read more about things that are happening.
This the
Anything-
Keep Hope Alive Collaborative is, let me finish that since I'm the
Sure.
one working on it, if you don't mind. And
Please, please.
This is something that we're working with the Veterans Affairs on, and we're working toward lowering suicides and the suicide rate, not only with veterans, but the general community. And so we've gathered it, we're a pilot program in Alameda County with the guidance of the VA. And we're on to our 3rd year actually, and anyone who's interested can certainly get involved with this. But we're doing things like currently we're putting together kits to suicide prevention kits that we're building it, and we'll have something ready by the end of summer. We want to promote 988. Even if 988 gets defunded federally, California has covered it, so we will have 988 solid. That will not go away. It will in other places, but we're fortunate that it'll stay here. So we will be promoting that. We've looked at data around suicide statistics in Alameda County, particularly in East County. And so there'll be I don't know what's around the corner. It's pretty exciting. We're inventing the wheel. And we're doing good things, and it's more than nonprofit. We have the ear of the state health department, and we public health department, excuse me, and then we have Alameda County Public Health Department is a regular. We have elected officials involved, so we're trying to do a wide swath in our community of people of all walks of life, different businesses. Would love to hear from everybody. So if anyone is interested, they can certainly contact me at any time, and I'm glad to see that up. Thank you for letting me indulge Army Nay just for a moment.
Please, that's why we're here, especially if we have time. Our pleasure. Giving Tuesday. This is just an ad to NAMI Tri-Valley. There's always a Giving Tuesday. And this is our connections. The ladies here representing connections programs, right? We have a weekly meetings and they come.
No, no, not weekly. No. Do
It's
you want to
bi-weekly
talk
now?
about-
It's bi-weekly. We meet on the first and the third Wednesday, and when we have a fifth Wednesday, we meet then too. So it's only bi-weekly. We do not have enough people, unfortunately, to do it weekly, unfortunately.
It's been that way for years.
Oh, wow. Okay.
I think for the last 2 years it has been, because
Very good. So we have our programs listed, our general meetings and events. This is representation of that, support groups, classes and workshops. So we have adult support group, young adult support group, family support group, and connections, as you just heard. So
And more.
and more and more. Okay. Any questions from anyone? We encourage every participant to join NAMI. Like Marcia said at the beginning, there's a lot of volunteer opportunities. The best way to get is to give, is my motto. So we're here for you, for the families, for the people who are going through tough times. Our doors are open. And last several years, we now have an office. And Marcia, thank you for all your efforts. The board members that are online, I want to thank everyone, especially Heather and Jennifer, for tonight's evening's event. If there's no other further question, we'll wait online a few more minutes. We also have a calendar of events. This is about us. There's yours truly, Marcia, Rosemary, myself. These are the board members. We are looking for more people, more help. We're trying to reach out to the community. So if you're interested, let us know.
Keep going down, scroll down.
Yay, Quinn! That's what you were. I didn't know the other.
Yeah.
And advisory board.
And we have
And-
a new
Yes.
advisory member, oh gosh, Kim
Curtis. So
Curtis.
just wanted to add that on top of all the programs and all that, both Marcia and I had a dream for years. We've been talking about this and we're trying to expand. We're working with Kim Curtis, who's the director at Goodness Village, and she is partnering with us. We're trying to see what we can do. She is finishing up her doctorate program, and we are trying to look, because NAMI Tri-Valley here, with Tri-Valley area that we are, housing sucks. Housing sucks. It's expensive. It's not affordable for most people. And let me tell you, for our loved ones, anyone with mental illness, it's even more difficult. So disabilities, we are working on that. Anyone interested to join? I'm driving that efforts with Marcia, so more than happy to support as the time goes on. So we will add her picture and her bio here soon. I should talk to Quinn about that. She'll update. Okay. Anything else that I can share here, Marcia?
No.
These
No, I
links
think-
are important, the crisis information. So there's a wealth of knowledge when all this, we want to make sure that people know what to do. And let me assure you from personal experience, even if you think what to do in crisis, you forget. So it's very important to have that community, the support. So anything, you have comments about our website, comments about programs, feel free to contact us. We now have an office, the phone number, everyone's reachable. You know where to contact us. Okay. I'll just end on home page. And again, ladies, thank you very much for your time. We appreciate you taking the time away from your loved ones, and all of us, on behalf of listeners here, the audience, I want to thank you again.
Someone asked what was the name of the facility you mentioned, Amami. In the
Where-
comment box, someone asked what was the name of the facility you mentioned.
That where our office is?
It just said, what's the name of the
No,
facility?
housing with the partnership you were trying to develop.
Goodness Village. Goodness Village. It's not a facility, it's a housing. It says Goodness Village is in Livermore. Okay, there is now I forget the name of the church, but it's on the church ground.
Crosswinds,
Crosswinds,
right
thank
by
you.
the golf course and the airport. Yeah.
Right. Most of you may not know the golf course, but you know the outlet, and it's right outside of the outlets where there is the golf range, right next to the golf range. There are 28 tiny villages. It's a trailers, tiny homes. And my son was there for about 6 months, and it's an incredible community. We're trying to see what we can do from NAMI Tri-Valley to find a better housing where people have their independence, yet support, and it's tough to find a place, especially Tri-Valley. We're working on it.
Thank you.
Sure. It's called Goodness Village, and they're online, GV, Goodness Village, GV Livermore. That's how they are on the web page. GV Livermore. Thanks for seeing that, Heather. Any other questions? Okay. I will stop sharing, and if there is no other question, we'll let you enjoy the rest of the evening, and thank you again for attending. Okay? Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thanks. Bye-bye.
So Moksha, you'll be the one running the thing,
Thank you.
being in the building on Wednesday?
Yes,
Okay.
yes. Let me see.